VJ Edgecombe was supposed to be one more promising young piece in Philadelphia. A fun one, sure. Explosive, athletic, easy to imagine in highlights, easy to talk yourself into, easy to keep in the give him time category. But over these last 4 games, he started to look like something way bigger than just that.
Zone. Literally get out of that zone.
The bounce ahead to Edwards.
Oh, good pass.
VJ!
From the Sacramento game through the Chicago game, he put up roughly 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists a night on 66% true shooting. That stretch included 38 and 11 assists against the Kings, 22 and 13 against Utah, 35 against Oklahoma City's defense, and 22 more once Joel Embiid and Paul George came back against Chicago. On the season, he's sitting around 16 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 4 assists as a 20-year-old rookie. And he's held a top 3 spot on the Kia rookie ladder for weeks. And the craziest part is that it doesn't even feel fluky when you go and watch the tape. The same shots are coming, the same reads are there, and the confidence is absolutely real. Because the second Philadelphia put more offense into his hands, VJ Edgecombe stopped looking like a rookie and started to look like a problem. What got me was how normal it started to look. That's always the real test. Anybody can have a hot scoring night. One defender loses discipline, a few jumpers fall, the box score blows up. Everybody tweets special talent, and then the next game arrives and you're back to earth. This did not feel like that. The same pockets kept showing up, the same pull-up from the free throw line area, the same burst getting downhill, the same calm when a second defender came over, the same confidence taking a 3 when the window was small instead of waiting for a cleaner one that never comes. Quick one for those who aren't subscribers yet. Subscribe and tell me which young player you want next. Because this part of the season is where you find out who's real and who was just having a nice month. The funny part is that VJ already warned people early. His NBA debut against Boston was not some quiet 8-point welcome to the league game. He scored 34 points, set a Sixers rookie debut record, and produced the 3rd highest scoring debut in NBA history.
Edgecombe the rebound, running with Kelly. Oubre to VJ Edgecombe!
He also broke LeBron James' debut quarter scoring mark, so the talent part was never hiding. It was sitting in the open from night 1. He also had the Memphis moment, end of December, overtime, road game, clock dying. Rookie takes the shot anyway and buries the game-winning 3 with a couple of seconds left. He finished that night with 25, and it gave Philadelphia its first win with Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George all available together. That one matters because it tells you this recent run did not create his nerve, it just gave it more possessions to work with. Then came Sacramento, and that was the first game where the whole thing changed shape. VJ finishes the game with 38 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals in a 139-118 win, and in the process became the only 76ers rookie besides Allen Iverson to ever post a 35-plus point game along with at least 10 assists. That stat by itself is crazy, but what mattered even more was how he got there. His confidence was there from the jump, pulling up for 3 and cashing it in. Sacramento leaves him in the corner and he punishes that as well. Then off a turnover, he gets out, runs his lane, and throws down this one-handed alley-oop where his head is basically at the rim. So before the game even really settles, you're already seeing the jump shot, the athleticism, and the confidence all show up at once. But the real shift happens once he begins to get settled in that mid-range area because that's been the story as of late. And in this game, it was no different. He kept coming back to that free throw line pocket, and every time he got there, he just looked so comfortable. 1 dribble, rise. 2 dribbles, stop. Defender cuts him off, fade anyway. He beats the shot clock with a pull-up from there. Later, he catches, puts it on the floor, gets to a pocket in the mid-range, and buries another. Then he goes right back to basically the same spot on the other side of the floor and gets that to drop too. This was not random. It was not just one impossible make. This is a young player already finding his place on the floor where he really trusts his ability to make shots. And then by the second half, it turns into real offensive control. Philly kept running him into high screens, and Sacramento had to keep asking the same question. Do we stay attached and let him walk into the jumper? Do we bring help and live with the pass? He stayed patient and kept getting better angles. Later, he gets cut off on the baseline, but he does not panic, getting to this beautiful fadeaway jumper. The 76ers continued to run those high screens for him because it was clearly opening up the floor for him. And once the defense began to load up, that pressure quickly turned into playmaking as well. On this one, he drives, draws in the extra defender, and finds Andre Drummond in the far corner. And yes, Drummond taking a corner three still reads like a typo, but this is where it matters, because he's also moving the ball and making these winning type plays. And because of that, you cannot pencil this in as just a scoring explosion. This game against Sacramento showed us all the layers this guy actually has in his game. He was doing so much on the floor and started to look like a guy who can absolutely run you some NBA level offense.
Fun game so far. Back and forth we go. VJ with a pass fake and the floater, nothing but net for Edgecombe.
The game against Sacramento was the explosion, but the following game against the Utah Jazz mattered as well, because it proved that it was not a one-night thing. He finishes this game with 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists. And the important part is that the shape of the production changed, but the player did not. He opens the game by doing all the connective stuff first. He's making the right passes, crashing the offensive glass, getting the other guys involved, and then the game begins to open up. So he goes right back to his scoring bag. He uses the Trendon Watford screen, gets right back to that free throw line area and knocks down the jumper. Then he gets the handoff from Drummond, spins, gets 2 feet into the paint, and floats it right over the top. Later, he gets out in semi-transition, splits 2 Utah defenders, and is at the rim in a flash. And one of my favorite plays from that game was not even the shot. Quentin Grimes misses the three. VJ tracks down the offensive board and instantly finds a teammate under the rim for the dunk. For me, that's why the Utah game really does matter. It's a different box score, but it's the same VJ Edgecombe. You can see the same self-creation, the same feel for the game, and the same ability to impact the game in a way more than just one way. And then came the game that made all of this impossible to just dismiss. The 76ers would go on to lose to OKC by 20. And honestly, I do not care. That was clearly not the point in the game. The point is what VJ did against the #1 defense in the NBA while basically carrying the whole offensive burden against guys like Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, and Jalen Williams flying around behind the first line and Chet Holmgren waiting at the rim. He still gave him 35 points. He shot 14 for 28, went 7 for 15 from 3. And what made the game so convincing was that he did not have to reinvent himself to do it. He was right back to the same stuff that had already been working. He comes off the handoff, gets his defender behind him, attacks the drop coverage, and rises up from the mid-range jump shot. Then again, high screen and roll, same little pocket of space, and he makes another. This really matters because it tells you the shot creation is not just showing up against weaker defenses like Sacramento and Utah. It's all still there against the best one in basketball as well. Then the degree of difficulty climbs. He takes a transition heat check 3 and makes it. In the third quarter, he loses Dort and rises over Holmgren in the mid-range area. Then he comes off another high screen and elects to just pull up from deep. He drives, gives it up, but continues to move, relocating to the corner and making another three. These are real shots against real defensive players, and the same actions we saw before continue to work even against that level of a defense. That's the moment where you know you've got something.
See, Edgecombe puts it up, splash! Oh, VJ Edgecombe!
This is also where the three-point conversation becomes huge because when VJ Edgecombe has it going from deep, his whole game opens up. The paint looks cleaner. The in-between game becomes easier to navigate to. Defenses have to pick him up higher. And now the stuff that he already likes doing in the middle of the floor becomes even harder to guard. He came into the league with people questioning whether the jump shot would ever really translate. And now as a rookie, he's at around 36% from 3. Over the stretch, he was even harder than that, basically shooting at a ridiculous heater. And yes, that number is definitely gonna come down. But the point is that the shot's already real enough that you do have to guard it. And once he begins the game with a couple of threes, you can just see the rest of his game get way more dangerous. And now we get to the Chicago game. And this is where the whole conversation shifted again because Joel Embiid is back. Paul George made his return as well, coming back from a 25-game suspension. Embiid begins the game looking really sharp, and that didn't really go away, finishing with 35 points. Paul George gives it 28 as well. Philadelphia scored 157 points, its highest total since 1970. That obviously matters a ton for the Sixers because they need these guys if they're going to be at their best. But inside of this game, the most important thing for this video was how VJ still slotted in even with the stars back on the floor. He still gave them 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on 7 of 9 shooting. And it shows up right away on the very first play of the game for Philly. Paul George hits him in stride. VJ lifts off into the paint and finishes around the rim on a play that honestly should have been a foul and one. Then he finds a pocket of space to hit this turnaround fadeaway. Then he gets to a step back 3 and gets a friendly bounce. Then in semi-transition, he just struts into a pull-up 3 and knocks that one down too. That's what makes this game so important.
High-low.
Double comes. Edgecombe from outside off the beautiful.
Even with Joel Embiid back and even with Paul George back, you're still seeing the same things that fueled this run in the first place. He is still getting to that in-between game. He's still creating his own jump shot. He is still attacking space decisively, and he's still looking like the best version of himself. The recent stretch did not suddenly disappear because the bigger names were back in the lineup. It still translated. And that's exactly why the next question becomes an even bigger one, especially when Tyrese Maxey comes back too. This is where Philadelphia has a real decision to make. And the best evidence for that is not just this 4-game run. It's the fact that VJ has been built for high leverage moments all season. In 35 clutch games, the 76ers are 21-4 with VJ. In those minutes, he has a 24.8 net rating, a 120.9 offensive rating, and a 96.2 defensive rating. And even earlier in the season, Liberty Ballers tracked him shooting over 60% overall and over 61% from 3 in clutch minutes through late December, with Philadelphia massively positive in those possessions when he was on the floor.
Birds
Had a
win.
big win.
Even in the season series with the Giants, VJ Edgecombe for 3.
Then, when you add in the actual moments, the game winner against Memphis, his 34-point game on debut against the Celtics, and even the next game where he was making things happen on both sides of the floor, the eye test absolutely matches the numbers. He's got that burst, the confidence, the shot making, the in-between game, and he also has the edge to him that special players tend to show off early. That's why I do not think Philly can afford to let him drift all the way back into those games, where he's only getting about 5 or 6 shots and mostly just sitting in the corner waiting. Not after this stretch. Not after the way he showed you he can generate offense. Not after the way he scored from all 3 levels. Not after the way he meshed in with Joel Embiid and Paul George and still looked really dangerous. And that balancing act only gets harder once Maxey's back too. With Embiid, George, and Maxey all active, VJ already slid into a smaller role and finished with 13 points in a 118-114 win over the Hornets.
Ball throws it right into Embiid's hands.
Dominic Barlow.
DB!
Then Philadelphia lost to Miami, with Embiid scoring 26, Maxey adding 23 and 9 assists, George putting in 19, and VJ falling more into the background. That's real life now. The stars are back. Possessions get expensive. There are only so many shots lying around. So the question is no longer whether Edgecombe can create offense. He's already answered that. The question is how much of that creation Philadelphia is willing to keep feeding when the roster's crowded again. And I think the answer should be more than they probably planned a month ago, because the evidence here is bigger than a 4-game hot streak. He already had the 34-point debut against Boston. He already hit the overtime winner in Memphis. NBA.com still has him sitting third on the rookie ladder behind the other big rookie names. He's held up as a scorer, a rebounder, and a guy who doesn't look rattled when the game gets loud. He's already given you around 16, 6, and 4 on the season as a rookie guard on a team that's been weird, injured, overloaded, and hard to read all year. That kind of year usually hides young players. He's been forcing himself into the frame anyway.
Up ahead, Edgecombe explosive in the open floor. Oh, the magic finger!
So, if I'm Philadelphia, I'm not shoving him back into 5 shots a night and pretending this stretch never happened. I'm not parking him in the corner like a decorative lamp while everybody else takes turns cooking. I'm keeping him in the action. Let Embiid screen for him sometimes. Let George screen for him sometimes. Keep a few possessions each quarter where the offense belongs to the rookie and everybody else reacts to him. Why would you learn all this about a player in March and then act scared of it in April? That's the whole thing. VJ Edgecombe did not hold down the fort while the stars were out. He showed Philadelphia a cleaner version of what their offense can look like when his burst, pull-up game, and playmaking are allowed to matter. Once a rookie shows he can score from all 3 levels, make the extra pass, rebound out of his area, survive against the best defense in the sport, and still fit next to Embiid and George when they return, the conversation changes. At that point, you're no longer asking whether he belongs. You're asking how much more they can hand him before this gets scary for everyone else. But another young team that's begun to look way more dangerous than people expected is the San Antonio Spurs. They're now 23-2 over the last 25 games. And if you want to see why they're a legit playoff problem, then you can go ahead and watch that full breakdown video right now.